Love can feel like a rock until a secret shatters it. Imagine trusting someone with your heart, building a life together, only to uncover a truth they buried deep. This is a story of betrayal, love tested, and the painful road to redemption. My name is James Carter, 37, a software engineer living in Seattle. My wife, Lisa, and I have been married for 8 years, and we just welcomed our daughter, Ava, 3 months ago. Lisa's warmth, her contagious laugh, and what I thought was her honesty made me believe we had no secrets. We met at a tech conference, bonding over terrible coffee and a love for sci-fi novels. Our life in our cozy craftsman house, with Puget Sound shimmering in the distance, felt like a dream come true. I never imagined she was hiding something that would break my world apart. It started with an email. I was up late, debugging code. While Lisa slept upstairs with Ava, my inbox pinged with a message from an unknown sender. No subject line. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam, but curiosity won. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Ask Lisa about her son. She left him behind. You deserve to know. My heart stopped, son. Lisa didn't have a son. Early on, we talked about kids. She said she'd always wanted them, but had none before Ava. I reread the email, my pulse racing. Was this a mistake? A cruel prank? I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark, staring at my laptop, those words burning into my brain. Lisa, my Lisa, who cried at cheesy rom-coms and made me feel like I could conquer anything. Couldn't have a secret this big, but doubt crept in, cold and sharp. The next morning, I watched her feed Ava, humming softly, and I couldn't bring myself to ask, what if it was true? What if the woman I loved was a stranger? For days, I dug, torn between guilt and a need for answers. The email was from a throwaway account, untraceable, but it mentioned a name. Jacob. I searched online, using Lisa's maiden name, Thompson, from before we met. I found scraps, old social media profiles she'd deleted, a mention of her Ohio hometown. Then, in a public record from a small Ohio county, I found it. A birth certificate from 17 years ago. Mother, Lisa Marie Thompson. Child, Jacob Ryan. My hands shook. Lisa had a teenage son. She'd never told me. The betrayal hit like a tidal wave. We'd shared everything, or so I thought. I'd told her about my dad's drinking, my fear of failing as a father, even stupid stuff like how I cried when my childhood dog died. She knew me, every flaw and scar. But this? A son? She'd hidden him, not just from me but from her family, her parents, who we visited every Christmas. Never mentioned a grandson. Did they know? Was I the only one in the dark? I couldn't hold it in. That night, Lisa was washing dishes, humming as usual, and I just blurted it out. Who's Jacob? She froze, soap dripping from her hands. The kitchen went silent except for the faucet's drip. She turned, her face pale, eyes wide with panic. James, she whispered, how did you find out? I showed her the email, my voice trembling as I asked why she'd hidden a son from me. She sank into a chair, tears streaming, and said, I was going to tell you, I swear. She gave me fragments that night. Her abusive ex, a pregnancy at 19, a son she left with her parents to escape. She said she'd changed, that she wasn't that scared girl anymore. But all I could think was, you lied. For 8 years, how do I trust you now? Lisa's confession left me gutted. That night in our Seattle kitchen, her tears and broken words about Jacob, a son she abandoned at 19 to escape an abusive ex, felt like a betrayal carved into my chest. 8 years of marriage. Countless moments where I bared my soul, and she'd kept this secret locked away. I lay awake, Ava's soft breathing through the baby monitor the only sound, wondering how I could love someone who had so much, the woman I thought I knew, who laughed at my bad coding jokes, and held my hand through life storms, felt like a ghost now. The next few days were a fog. I went to work, staring at code without seeing it, my mind replaying her words. I'd change Ava's diapers, cook dinner, not at Lisa across the table, but it was all mechanical. Every time I looked at her, I saw the lie. Her humming while she rocked Ava, once so comforting, now grated like a reminder of her deception. I kept searching our past for signs. Had she ever slipped? Ever hinted at a son? Nothing. She'd been so careful, And that precision scared me. What else could she hide? Jacob consumed my thoughts. A 17-year-old out there, maybe in Ohio, maybe with Lisa's hazel eyes or her stubborn streak. Did he know his mom walked away? Did he hate her? I pictured him shooting hoops, studying for exams, living a life shaped by her absence. Part of me wanted to find him, to know his story, but another part dreaded it. What if he saw me as the guy who took his mom's side? The idea of his judgment, of carrying that weight, kept me from acting, but the questions churned, relentless. Lisa sensed the wall between us. She'd try to break through, leaving notes on my laptop. "I'm so sorry, James," or brushing my arm in the hall. I'd pull away, not ready to let her in. I hated how it hurt her. Her eyes would dim, and she'd retreat, clutching Ava like a lifeline. One night, she caught me staring out the window, lost in thought. "James," she said, voice trembling, "I know I broke us, but I love you. I want to make this right." Her words tugged at me, but the wound was too fresh. Trust wasn't something I could just hand back. I needed answers. One evening, after Ava was down, I sat her on the couch. "Tell me everything," I said, my voice hard but my heart racing. She nodded, hands twisting in her lap, and started. She was 19, trapped in Ohio with Derek, a guy who seemed charming until he wasn't. He controlled her, her phone, her friends, her life. When she got pregnant with Jacob, she thought it would fix him. It didn't. After Jacob was born, Derek's anger turned darker, shouting, throwing things, sometimes worse. Lisa lived in fear, barely holding it together. She left Jacob with her parents and ran, thinking it was the only way to survive. "I thought he'd be safe without me," she said, sobbing. I was too broken to be his mom. My throat tightened. I could see the terror in her eyes, the weight of those years. Part of me wanted to hold her, to say I understood. But the lie loomed large. 8 years. "Lisa, we built a home, a daughter, and you never told me." I asked about Jacob now. "Where was he? Did she ever check on him?" She shook her head, ashamed. "I couldn't face it," she whispered. "I told myself he was better off. I thought of Ava, how I'd die before leaving her, and Lisa's choice felt incomprehensible." I asked if her parents raised him. "Yes," she said. "They covered for me, said I was at college. They haven't forgiven me either." Her parents lie stung, too, every Christmas, their warm hugs, all a facade. I went to bed that night, the rift between us wider, wondering if love could survive this. Lisa's full confession about Jacob, her son left behind at 19, hung over our Seattle home like a storm cloud. Ava's coups and Lisa's attempts at normalcy, cooking dinner, humming lullabies, couldn't mask the fracture between us. I was drowning in her lie. 8 years of marriage tainted by a secret she'd buried so deep even her parents played along. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling. The baby monitors hum a reminder of the family I thought we had. How could I trust her again? How could I look at Ava without wondering what other truths Lisa might hide? Work became my escape, but even there, I was useless. Lines of code blurred as my mind churned over Jacob, a 17-year-old, probably in Ohio, living a life shaped by Lisa's absence. Did he have her laugh? Her stubbornness? Did he know why she left? I imagined him shooting hoops, maybe angry, maybe lost, and it gnawed at me. I wanted to know him, to understand what Lisa had walked away from, but I was terrified. What if he hated me for being with her? What if he saw me as part of her betrayal? The thought made my chest tight, like I was carrying a weight I didn't ask for. Lisa was unraveling too. She'd always been the glue in our home, her warmth holding us together, but now she was quieter, her eyes red from crying when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd try to reach me, leaving coffee on my desk with a post-it that said, "I'm here, James," but I'd brush it off, my anger a shield. I hated how it hurt her, but I couldn't let go of the betrayal. One night, she caught me staring at Ava's crib, lost in thought. "I know you hate me," she whispered, voice breaking. "But I'm trying to fix this." I didn't hate her. I loved her, and that made it worse. I just didn't know how to move forward. I started searching for Jacob online, using the birth certificate details. It felt like a betrayal of Lisa, but I needed something solid. I found a social media profile that might have been him, a 17-year-old in Ohio, posting about basketball and gaming. His profile picture showed a kid with Lisa's hazel eyes, a lopsided grin that hit me like a punch. He looked happy, normal, but I wondered what pain he carried. I didn't reach out. I wasn't ready. But seeing his face made him real, not just a name. In an email, it also made Lisa's choice harder to grasp. How do you leave a kid like that? I confronted her again, this time about why she never went back. We were on the couch, Ava asleep upstairs. I was ashamed, she said, clutching a pillow like it could protect her. Every year, I told myself I'd reach out, but the longer I waited, the harder it got. I didn't want him to hate me. Her voice cracked, and I saw the weight she'd carried: guilt, fear, regret. I got it. But it didn't erase the lie. I asked if she wanted to find him now. She hesitated, then nodded. But only if you're okay with it, she said, eyes pleading. That surprised me. She was giving me a say in her past, something she'd never done before. I didn't know what I wanted. Part of me thought Jacob deserved to know his mom, to hear her side. Another part feared what it would do to us. What if he rejected her? What if he came into our lives and changed everything? Ava was my anchor now, and I didn't want her growing up in a family broken by secrets. I told Lisa I needed time to think. She nodded, tears spilling, and said she'd wait. For the first time, I saw how much she was hurting too. Living with this for 17 years, it didn't fix the trust, but it made me wonder if we could find a way through. I looked at Ava's monitor, her soft breath steady, and thought maybe, just maybe, we could try. The fog of Lisa's secret about Jacob, her son left behind at 19, clung to our Seattle home, making every moment heavy. Ava's giggles and Lisa's attempts to keep things normal, cooking pasta, folding laundry, couldn't hide the rift between us. I was still reeling from her lie. 8 years of marriage built on a foundation I no longer trusted. I'd seen Jacob's face online, a 17-year-old with Lisa's hazel eyes, and it made him real, not just a name from a birth certificate. But it also made Lisa's betrayal sharper. How could she abandon him and never tell me? I was a mess, my mind looping between anger and curiosity. At work, I'd stare at my computer, code blurring as I pictured Jacob growing up without his mom. Did he wonder why she left? Did he feel abandoned? I wanted to know his story, but the idea of reaching out terrified me. What if he saw me as complicit in Lisa's choice? I was just the guy who married her, but would he blame me anyway? The thought kept me up, Ava's baby monitor humming as I wrestled with what to do. Lisa was falling apart too, her warmth, once the heart of our home, was dimmed. I'd catch her crying when she thought I wasn't looking, her eyes red as she rocked Ava. She'd try to reach me, leaving a mug of coffee with a note. I'm still here, James, but I'd pull back. My hurt too raw. One night, she caught me staring at Ava's crib, lost in thought. I know I broke us, she said, voice trembling, but I'm trying to be better for you, for Ava. I wanted to believe her, but the lie loomed large, a shadow over every memory we'd made. I couldn't sit still anymore. I needed more than Lisa's story. On a Saturday, while she was at a baby class with Ava, I called her parents, Diane and Tom, in Ohio. Diane answered, her voice warm but guarded. I didn't ease into it. Did you know about Jacob? I asked, a long pause, then a sigh. Yes, she said. We raised him after Lisa left. My jaw clenched. They'd lied to me too, every Christmas, every phone call, acting like their family was an open book. Diane said Jacob was okay, living with them, a good kid who loved basketball and wanted to study engineering. Like me, that hit hard. A strange connection to a kid I'd never met. I asked why they never pushed Lisa to tell me. Diane's voice cracked. She was so broken when she left Derek. We thought we were protecting her. I understood. Lisa had been through hell, but the lies stacked up. They'd covered for her, told everyone she was at college, while raising her son. I hung up, angry but also hollow. This wasn't just Lisa's secret. It was a family pact. And I'd been the outsider. I felt betrayed all over again, not just by her, but by the people I'd called family. When Lisa got home, I told her about the call. Her face crumpled, tears welling up. I begged them to keep it quiet, she said. I didn't want my past to ruin us. I wanted to yell, how could she think lying was better? But her shaking hand stopped me. I asked what she wanted now. I want to see him, she said, voice small, but I'm scared he'll hate me. I nodded, unsure what to say. The idea of Jacob in our lives felt like a storm waiting to hit, but I couldn't ignore her pain. I suggested we try to find him together. It was a leap, but maybe it could heal something for her, for us. Lisa agreed, her eyes flickering with hope. We'd need a plan, maybe a letter, maybe a call. But first, I contacted a lawyer friend to check the legal side. Could her parents block us? Could Lisa reach out after so long? The lawyer said it was possible, since her parents had custody, not the state. It felt surreal, planning to meet a kid who was part of my wife's life but not mine. That night, holding Ava, I wondered if we could fix this mess or if it would break us further. The decision to find Jacob, Lisa's son, felt like stepping onto a tightrope. Our Seattle home, once filled with Ava's giggles and Lisa's warmth, was now a battlefield of trust and doubt. Her lie. 8 years hiding a teenage son she left at 19 to escape an abusive ex, still burned. But seeing her pain, her guilt, made me want to try. Even if I wasn't sure we could rebuild, I learned her parents, Diane and Tom, raised Jacob, covering for her with lies that stung me too every Christmas there. Smiles had hidden the truth, and I felt like a fool for believing we were family. Lisa was a wreck. Her usual spark dimmed. She'd rock Ava, staring into space, or cry when she thought I wasn't looking. She'd try to reach me, slipping notes under my laptop. I love you, James. But I was still guarded, the betrayal too fresh. One night, she caught me staring at Ava's crib, lost in thought about Jacob. I don't deserve you, she whispered, voice breaking. But I want to make this right. I wanted to believe her, but trust was a ghost, slipping through my fingers. Still, I couldn't ignore her effort, the way she trembled when she spoke of Jacob. We decided to start with a letter. Lisa spent hours writing it, crumpled drafts littering the table. I watched her, pen shaking, as she poured out her heart. The final version was raw. Jacob, I failed you. I was young, scared, running from a man who broke me. I thought you'd be safer without me. I was wrong. I'd love to know you, if you'll let me. I read it, my throat tight. It was honest, vulnerable, and it softened something in me. I mailed it for her, not trusting her to follow through, and she looked at me with gratitude that felt like a lifeline. Waiting for a response was agony. I threw myself into work, debugging code like it could fix my marriage, but my mind was elsewhere. I kept imagining Jacob reading the letter, maybe angry, maybe curious. Did he want to know Lisa? Did he hate her? I'd seen his face online, those hazel eyes, that lopsided grin, and it haunted me. He was real, a kid with a life I couldn't fathom, shaped by her absence. I wondered what he'd think of me, the guy who married his mom. Would he see me as an intruder? The thought made my stomach churn. Lisa was on edge, jumping at every phone ping, hoping it was about Jacob. One night, she broke down, sobbing that she didn't deserve Ava or me after what she'd done. I held her, the first time I'd touched her in weeks without flinching. We'll figure it out, I said. Unsure if I meant it, her pain was real, a weight she'd carried for 17 years, and it made me see her not just as the liar, but as a woman who'd been broken too. It didn't erase the hurt, but it complicated it. 2 weeks later, a letter came from Diane. Jacob had read Lisa's words. He was angry, confused, but willing to talk. On a phone call, with his grandparents there, my heart raced. This was happening. Lisa looked terrified but nodded. I need to do this, she said, voice trembling. I admired her courage, even if I was still wrestling with trust. I took Ava to the park during the call, pushing her stroller, my mind racing. Would Jacob lash out? Forgive her? When I got home, Lisa was on the couch, eyes red but calm. He's grown, she said, almost in awe. He sounds like me when he laughs. She told me Jacob was guarded, asking why she left, why she never came back. She explained Derek's abuse, how she thought leaving saved him. He listened, said little, but agreed to another call. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. I felt a flicker of hope, mixed with fear. Where did I fit in this? Could I handle Jacob in our lives? I looked at Ava, sleeping soundly, and knew I had to try for her, for us, for whatever family we could become. Jacob's phone call with Lisa changed something in our Seattle home. The air, heavy with her secret, a son she left at 19 to escape an abusive ex, felt lighter, but the shadow of her lie still lingered. Ava's coos filled the silence. But trust was still a fragile thing. Broken by 8 years of deception, Lisa was trying, pouring her heart into rebuilding with Jacob, and I was trying too, though I wasn't sure where I stood. Her first call with him, guarded but real, left her shaken but hopeful, and I couldn't help but feel the pull of her effort, even if my heart was still bruised. Lisa started talking to Jacob weekly. She'd come out of the calls, eyes bright with a mix of joy and pain, sharing snippets how he loved basketball, how he was applying to colleges for engineering, how his laugh echoed hers. It was surreal. Hearing about this kid who was part of her but a stranger to me, I stayed on the sidelines, not joining the calls, but I listened. Lisa was careful, not pushing me to get involved, but her hope was infectious. One night, she showed me a photo Jacob sent, a selfie at a high school game, sweaty and grinning in a jersey. Those hazel eyes, that dimple like Ava's, hit me hard. He was real, and he was hers. I felt a tangle of emotions, pride for a kid I didn't know, fear of what he'd mean for us. Would he change our family? Would I fade into the background if he came into Lisa's life? It was selfish, but the thought gnawed at me. I'd seen his face online, that lopsided grin, and wondered what scars he carried from her absence. Lisa noticed my quietness one evening, setting down her tea. "James," she said, voice soft, "I need you in this. I can't do it without you." Her eyes pleaded, and I saw her fear not just of losing Jacob, but of losing me. I wanted to be the husband she needed, but the betrayal still stung. I told her I'd try, but I needed to meet Jacob myself, to understand who he was. She nodded, relieved, and promised to ask him about a visit. The idea of meeting him terrified me. What would I say? "Hey, I'm the guy who married your mom after she left you?" I spent nights Googling how to talk to a teenager, especially one with a past like his. I read about abandonment, how it leaves deep wounds, and wondered what Jacob thought of me. Did he know I existed? Did he resent me? The questions piled up, unanswered. Lisa's next call with Jacob brought news. He was open to meeting, but only at her parents' house in Ohio. With them there, it made sense. He needed safety, control. My stomach nodded. This was real now. We booked flights for the next month, my mind racing. I took leave from work, calling it a family matter, which wasn't a lie. Lisa was nervous but excited, planning what to say, buying a small gift, a basketball keychain for Jacob. It was a tiny gesture, but it showed how much she wanted this to work. I admired her courage, even if I was still grappling with trust. One night, holding Ava, I admitted to Lisa I was scared, not just of meeting Jacob, but of losing what we had. She took my hand, tears in her eyes. "I'm scared too," she said, "but you're my home, James." Her words hit deep. The first time in weeks I felt we might be a team again. I started preparing myself, reading about blended families, trying to imagine Jacob in our lives. Would he visit? Stay? Hate us? I didn't know, but I thought of Ava, her tiny hand in mine, and knew I didn't want her growing up in a family fractured by secrets. Maybe meeting Jacob could start to heal something for Lisa, for him, maybe even for me. The trip loomed. A chance to face the past, but also a risk that it could break us further. I held Ava tighter, her soft breaths grounding me, and hoped we were strong enough for what came next. The flight to Ohio felt like a countdown to a reckoning. Lisa sat beside me, clutching Ava, who slept through the hum of the plane. Our Seattle life, once anchored by love, now shaken by Lisa's secret about Jacob. The son she left at 19 to escape an abusive ex seemed a world away. Her lie, hidden for 8 years of marriage, still cut deep, but her effort to reconnect with Jacob, her raw vulnerability, had me trying to rebuild. Even if trust was a fragile thread, we were heading to meet him at her parents' house, and I was terrified of what this would mean for us. Lisa's parents, Diane and Tom, picked us up at the Columbus airport. The drive to their house was quiet, Ava's babbling the only sound breaking the tension. Diane kept glancing at Lisa, her eyes soft but wary, while Tom gripped the wheel, his face unreadable. I wondered what they thought of me. The guy who didn't know their daughter's secret for years, their lies, covering for Lisa every Christmas, stung as much as hers. When we pulled up to their modest ranch-style home, my stomach churned. Jacob was inside, a 17-year-old I'd only seen in a photo, with Lisa's hazel eyes and a life I couldn't imagine. Lisa went in first, leaving me with Ava in the living room. I heard muffled voices from the kitchen, Lisa's soft and hesitant, a deeper one, Jacob's, guarded but steady. I bounced Ava, trying to focus on her tiny fingers, but my ears strained to catch their words. After an eternity, Lisa came out, eyes red but with a small smile. "He's ready to meet you," she said, voice trembling. My heart pounded. I handed Ava to Diane, who gave me a nod, and walked into the kitchen, feeling like I was stepping into a stranger's life. Jacob was tall, lanky, leaning against the counter with a basketball in his hands, spinning it slowly. His hazel eyes, so like Lisa's, met mine, wary but curious. "Hey," I said, my voice awkward. "I'm James." He nodded, not smiling. "Yeah, Lisa told me." The air was thick, like we were sizing each other up. I sat down, trying to seem calm. "Heard you're into engineering," I said, grasping for a connection. His eyes flicked up, surprised. "Yeah, maybe." We talked about coding, his robotics club, and he relaxed a bit, telling me about a project that won a school award. It wasn't much, but it felt like a crack in the wall between us. Later, Lisa and I debriefed in the guest room. She said Jacob was angry but open, asking about her life, about Ava, about why she left. He didn't call her mom, and that hurt her, but she didn't push. I admired her restraint, her willingness to take his pain. I asked Jacob, through Diane, if he wanted to stay in touch. He shrugged. "Maybe," his voice non-committal but not cold. It wasn't a warm embrace, but it wasn't rejection either. I realized this would be a slow process for all of us. That night, at the hotel, Lisa broke down, sobbing that she didn't deserve Jacob's forgiveness or mine. I held her, feeling her tremble. "You're trying," I said, my voice softer than it had been in weeks. "That counts." I wasn't sure I'd forgiven her. The lie still ached. But seeing her fight for Jacob made me want to fight for us. We flew home, exhausted but with a flicker of hope. Jacob wasn't just a secret anymore. He was a person, and meeting him made me see Lisa differently. Not just as the woman who lied, but as someone carrying a lifetime of regret. Back in Seattle, I looked at Ava sleeping, her tiny chest rising and falling. I thought about Jacob at her age, left behind by a scared 19-year-old Lisa. I didn't know if I could fully trust Lisa yet, but I wanted to try. For Ava, for the family we were, and the one we might become. The road ahead felt long, but for the first time, I believed we might walk it together. Back in Seattle, the trip to Ohio lingered like a bruise. Meeting Jacob, Lisa's 17-year-old son, made her secret painfully real. Our home, once a haven with Ava's giggles, was still shadowed by Lisa's 8-year lie about abandoning him to escape an abusive ex. But seeing her face Jacob, raw and vulnerable, shifted something in me. Trust was still broken, but her effort to rebuild with him, and with me, gave me a flicker of hope. I wasn't sure we could fix this, but I wanted to try. For Ava, for us, for the family we might become. Jacob started texting Lisa, short messages at first, school updates, a basketball score. She'd light up, showing me each one like it was a treasure. "He got an A in physics," she'd say, eyes bright. I was glad for her, but it stirred a knot of feelings. Where did I fit? Would Jacob ever see me as more than the guy who married his mom? I stayed involved, asking about their talks, suggesting replies when Lisa hesitated. One day, he sent a video, a grainy clip of him sinking a three-pointer. Lisa cried, and I felt a pang, maybe pride. For a kid I barely knew, I suggested inviting him to Seattle. Lisa worried it was too soon, but I pushed. "He needs to know you're serious," I said. She agreed, and we sent the invite. Jacob said yes, for a weekend. His visit was tense at first. He arrived, lanky and guarded, his backpack slung over one shoulder. We put him in the guest room, and I took him to a coding workshop I'd found. Hoping to connect, he was quiet but engaged, asking sharp questions about Python. At dinner, he played with Ava, making her giggle with silly faces, and Lisa's eyes softened. For a moment, we felt like a family, but I knew it was fragile. When he left, he hugged Lisa, a quick, awkward embrace, and nodded at me. "Thanks, James," he said. It wasn't much, but it felt like a step. Lisa and I started talking more openly. One night, after Ava was asleep, she admitted she'd feared I'd leave when I found out about Jacob. "I wouldn't have blamed you," she said, voice shaking. I admitted I'd thought about it, the betrayal cutting so deep. But Ava and Lisa's fight to make things right kept me here. I love you, I said. The words heavy but true. She cried, promising no more secrets. I didn't fully trust her yet, but I believed her intent, and that was enough to keep going. Months later, Jacob visited again, staying a week. He called Lisa Mom once, by accident, and it stuck. I helped with his college applications, sharing tips from my engineering days. He opened up about his life, growing up with Diane and Tom, feeling different but loved. He didn't talk much about Lisa's absence, but I saw the hurt in his pauses. I didn't push, just listened, trying to be someone he could rely on. One evening, we coded together, Ava napping nearby, and Lisa watched us, her smile, real for the first time in months. Our marriage was healing, slowly, built on painful honesty. I still had moments of doubt, flashes of anger at her lie, but they were softer now. Lisa was different too, more open, checking in with me about Jacob, about us. I looked at Ava, at Jacob's texts, at Lisa's efforts, and saw a family taking shape. It wasn't the one I'd imagined 8 years ago, but it was ours. I thought of my own dad's failures, how they'd scarred me, and knew I didn't want that for Ava or Jacob. Trust was a slow rebuild, but every step, every call, every visit felt like progress. One night, holding Lisa as Ava slept, I realized I wasn't just staying for them. I was staying because I still loved her, and maybe that was enough to carry us forward.